Hi, my name is Disha Ahluwalia and I write regular columns on archaeology for ThePrint. In the last few weeks, I have been discussing about various unknown, usually not very publicly known archaeological sites in different parts of the subcontinent. And along with that, I'm trying to bust a lot of myths which revolve around the absence of any archaeological data in certain time period in ancient India, and also about the question of continuity and change. Now, continuity and change is a very significant aspect of our past. There are a lot of myths around it. There are a lot of theories around it. Some propound that there is absolutely no continuity in various cultures, various areas of the subcontinent, and also pushes the narrative that there is a void in Indian history. Now, the last two columns, particularly, and various others actually, tied together, and sort of, if you reread these columns, and if you have not read, do read these columns on Musky, Brahmagiri, Burzahom, and various other sites that I have also discussed in the past, you would know that there is actually a lot of continuity that you see at an archaeological site. The sites are occupied for thousands and thousands of years, and during these thousands of years of occupation, there is a lot of change that comes in terms of technology. There is also change in the settlement pattern. There's societal change one can map through material culture. Interestingly, recently in one, somewhere I read in a history book written by a very good historian, that there is a void in Indian history from 10,000 BCE to 600 BCE. And I thought to myself that we are in 2024, and despite so much of archaeological data being fed, been added in the archaeological literature, so many sites excavated which show continuous occupation, yet historians continue to push. Some historians, not all, continue to talk about this void in Indian history. And I understand perhaps this void that the particular historian was talking about probably was because history is, as literally, if we go by its definition, is the period where writing begins, and perhaps totally eliminates the prehistory. But if we look at the past as a collective past, we would see that in even though there are certain sites that no longer are in occupation, and the settlement changes and shifts to somewhere else, a region as a whole continues to stay under occupation. For instance, the trio of Mehergarh, Nosharo, and Perak, which is a very famous trio, even though its settlement deserted at Mehergarh, it continued at Nosharo and Perak, which led the culture itself to the Bronze Age. Similarly, there are all the region, like almost everywhere in the subcontinent. If one site is deserted, the settlement, probably the culture shifts to somewhere else, and there you can find, connect the dots and find the link in that particular region. In the case of Brahmagiri and Musky in southern India, I have discussed at length in the video column, as well as in my written column. You can find the link somewhere here, and also in the description box below. And in the case of Musky and Brahmagiri, we see that the landscape was so important, that the landscape stayed under occupation for many, many years. Cultures changed from Neolithic to Chalcolithic to Iron Age to early historic, and all the way to medieval period, where structures been built, where a lot of imprints of the succeeding cultures have been left behind, and the region as a whole, the landscape as a whole, is quite important in order to study the continuation of culture, the story of continuity and change. In the case of Chirand, my previous column, you can find the link in the description box below. In the case of Chirand, also, we try to sort of bring forth the narrative that Eastern India, when Harappan civilization was existing in the West, the Eastern India was actually a complete blank. But here you see in Chirand, and also sites around Chirand, such as Maner, Senwar, various other sites in the region, and across Bihar itself, and also going beyond Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, and also in Bengal, you see that there is a new Chalcolithic culture, that is the Copper Age, which is quite prominent. And also you see in the case study of Chiran that there is exchange in terms of goods. There is connection between the west. The carnelian and the agate must be reaching Chirand in Bihar from Gujarat, that is Khambad. And I have also written on Khambad, so if you want to know what Khambad is all about, you can check my column on Khambad. It's quite an interesting area, and it's about 5,000 6,000 years of living history right at Khambad. So the carnelian and agate must be coming from Khambad. The copper is either coming from Uttarakhand, and also the copper perhaps is coming from either Uttarakhand, or it's mined from Khetri, which is in Rajasthan. So you can see sort of connection between the east and the west. The goods have been exchanged, and perhaps that was the case. And this is the thing that is often missing in historical writing. It's often missing in our history books, and we are not taught about this very concept. In this week's column, I'm talking about a very interesting site which was excavated in 1962, called Pandu Rajar Dhibhi. It's in Bengal, and actually it was the first site which brought to light the existence of Copper Age in Bengal. So we in Chiran's case study, we see the existence of Copper Age. Minar also is along with Chiran, which is recently excavated and dated site, it's dated about 3rd millennium BC, that is about 2600 BC, contemporary to Harappa. We see that Chiran has also a continuous occupation all the way till medieval period. At Pandu Rajar Dhibhi also we see that a very a potentiality of Copper Age in Bengal. Pandu Rajar Dhibhi was excavated in 1962, and it was excavated for multiple seasons. And in that, archaeologists found various structures. They found even copper fragments, copper objects such as bangle rings, fish hooks. They found iron implements which succeeds copper, in that a lot of there was sword, there was celt, there were many iron objects. There were also presence of Neolithic stone tool technology in at Pandu Rajar Dhibhi. And then you start finding brick structures, which is a hallmark or the marker of early historic period, along with the NBP or Northern Black Polish ware pottery. And then there is a gap, and leads after the gap comes the medieval period. So here is the site which was excavated in 1960s, which gives you a very good example of coexistence and contemporary cultures which is not known. What is also interesting is when you understand Pandu Rajar Dhibhi, although it was excavated decades ago and it requires re-excavation, you understand that the excavator of Pandu Rajar Dhibhi in the report constantly talks about its connection with the rest of the subcontinent. So black and red ware is a pottery that is largely found in this region, which is hallmark in north of and also in the western India of Copper Age. But it coexists even beyond that. In southern India, it's a hallmark of Iron Age. So black and red ware is a kind of a pottery tradition which has a long antiquity, and it span over different periods, different areas, and it's quite an important, I think it's sort of a very favorite sort of pottery ceramic tradition that is existing in the subcontinent. So a lot of emphasis is laid to that. But on while doing that, the excavator also draw parallels with other Chalcolithic settlements in the regions such as Nagatoli, Inamgaon in Deccan region, and also talks about possibility of maritime trade contact from the eastern half of the subcontinent, and from the eastern side. So when we talk about ancient maritime contact, we usually think of Harappans. Here is a parallel drawn to the Harappans, and possibility has been laid out, if at all which has not been explored so far. So Pandu Rajar Dhibhi is one side which has really opened the doors to the unknown, and there are a lot of new surveys that are undertaken by archaeologists in Bengal, and hopefully in some time, with better research and with new technology, we'll get better understanding of the Chalcolithic period in the Bengal, in the eastern half of the subcontinent. Now, in order to, taking you all from Musky, which is in southern India and Karnataka, Brahmagiri as well, to Chirand, which is in Bihar, and to Pandu Raja Dhibhi, the aim was to sort of bring out the the eras which usually, when we talk about third millennium BCE, they get shadowed by Harappans, and largely our history gets shadowed by Harappan civilization, and we do not pay much attention to the regional Copper Age cultures, the regional Neolithic cultures, and Burzahom in the north is also an example, and I have written a column on that as well. So the idea was to bring forth the unknown facets of our archaeological past on the public forum, to initiate a discussion and to sort of educate all of you and tell you that there is a lot of contemporary settlements in third and second millennium BCE. So there is not just the Harappans in the west and there is a complete blank, but there are sites which do have continuous contact with the Harappans. They are trading with the Harappans, which are influenced both internally. The cultural materials influence both internally and externally. Hopefully, in few in coming weeks, we'll throw light on various other sites which show you continuity and show you change, such as the site of Ataranjikera, Ahichatra, Indraprastha, Mathura. I can go on and on. I think I'll be writing for almost a year if I have to go on and keep narrating it. But perhaps in few weeks we can just go back to this very topic and start discussing about various sites. But for now, I think the eastern, I would like to leave you with these sites. Do read my columns on Musky, Brahmagiri, Burzahom, and also on Chiran, and the current column on Pandu Rajar Dhibhi, and hopefully it'll help you to understand that our archaeological past is also quite complex, quite vast, quite diverse in nature, just like our history is. So for more such interesting video essays and video columns, and also the written columns, follow Print, subscribe them on their various social media channels and profiles, and continue watching interesting stories that we bring to you. And till next time, thank you.